Well, let's
Yeah.
call the meeting to order at 9:01. And we have the Pledge of Allegiance on today's name. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Public comment.
Thanks, whoever
There's
brought
no
this out.
public. What's
Susan
that?
said she'd leave it on her desk for me and I went in there and it wasn't there and I'm like,
Is, she had put them all in my mailbox.
Oh,
today,
good.
So. Okay, so what I did is, I don't know if you guys saw that folder of information they sent, but I opened it and in the folder, there were 3 subfolders, one for each culvert, and then in each one it had multiple documents. I couldn't always print them all. Some of them were photos, which were really difficult to print, pages and pages. I printed for each culvert, what I could.
okay.
It's a long email.
There's a lot of information in here and, the third page down has the costs. Let me see, it's kind of, I don't even know. 1, 2, it's,
Page 3.
yeah, page 3. This is the one that we were looking at the board meeting and Amanda had done some quick calculations on.
Okay.
What
So they're
25% of those would be, yeah, just so those are,
Right.
answer. I might pull out my computer too, because I did have communication with Mr. Hui. I don't know if you guys saw that, we're not obligated to any of these until we sign an agreement. And the agreement wouldn't be presented until the grant had been awarded. So,
That's what I was gonna say.
So if we apply, so if we applied for all of them
right,
and then, but they didn't accept all of them, we're not. Yeah.
exactly.
Then we
We
choose
just wanted to
once
make
the
sure
grant.
we weren't gonna be on the hook
Okay.
for all 3 then. And he said, no, you're not on the hook until you sign an agreement.
That was my big push.
So we could
Okay.
submit for all 3 of them, and if they say we're only funding 2, we
Right.
can say, okay, well, then we're gonna pull that one back.
Okay,
Mhm.
good,
But he did say these culverts are in terrible shape,
right?
and if we don't do it through this,
Right.
soon come, they're gonna be asking us to do it out of township funds.
Mhm.
And
So,
maybe he's saying that to
Scare.
encourage us to do it this way, but. Go ahead.
but I would think that some portion of that will have to be out of township funds, if not the whole repair or the
So-
whole replacement.
I don't think the whole replacement will ever be out of our funds.
So
Never
every,
has.
Right, but a portion, yeah.
Portion would be, we've done half in the past when we
Yeah.
had the emergency culvert.
Yeah.
We got McKinley Road or something.
We did half.
So you've seen half, so
We
we're
have seen
looking at, so
half.
we'd be looking at 25% or half, so.
But
I mean-
and actually that one, I think that one got split with Lima.
Because it was on their line.
It
or
was,
something.
it was both.
Oh.
Right,
Well, and the one on Bush Road that we just did the emergency culvert, that was not long ago, they had to get permits, because the Mill Creek or some
Oh,
body of
creek.
water goes through there. But that's up by the Eddy Center.
Mm,
And that's on a dirt road portion. And I believe the total cost of that was like around 50 to 70, and we ended up splitting it. But the road failed there, where the culvert on the
Mm,
edges,
right, I
even though it
remember
was
that,
dirt
yeah,
road,
yeah,
remember that?
on
It was,
Bush,
it was in
I
bad
went and looked
shape.
at it. It was-
Yes, and they had to put up safety things so people didn't go into the hole until they could fix it.
Okay.
Anyway, that one we split 50-50. I don't know if that was because it was an emergency. So I can't speak as to what in the future percentage we would be facing. Yeah.
So when I was doing some of the math again, looking at the math, if we applied for all 3 and we were granted all 3, so our cost would be $2,500, 25% of what they're proposing, because I think the total was $802,000 would be the total that they've proposed to replace all 3.
Mhm. And our portion of that would be
50.
200,000 and $200,500.
2,500.
No, 200,000.
200,000 and 500.
100, that is
Yeah.
hard to say.
$200,500.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm
800,000, yeah.
And so I'm looking at that on the surface and going, wow, we would be bringing in $600,000 for our $200,000. So if we can find the money, that makes sense to
Mhm.
me, to at least, to apply for all 3. If we would be looking at covering more than 25%, which it sounds like
Right.
historically we would, 50
Yeah,
or more.
Probably.
Mhm.
I mean, we do. Do we have to technically? No.
To
We
replace
don't,
them.
we don't technically have to do that.
No, well, not today, but I think in the
Legally, I should
future,
say, you know,
but in the
Well,
future, I think we will if it becomes an emergency and that's where we're headed.
for your neighbor.
Well, and that's the thing. There are people out there who would say, you know, we don't have to give the road or the road commission money, you know, that their funding is supposed to come from higher levels than us.
Okay.
So I have heard that in the past, but I think we all know those, they don't have money either. Obviously, you
And
know, when
all- All the townships give,
all the townships.
all the townships.
So explain that more to me, and I know I know who you're talking to for your neighbor. So.
Yeah, well, it was Mr. Posgay, who's
So
no
tell
longer
me-
with
but
us,
tell me
but
more about that.
you know what? I don't know if I could.
Right.
I would have to talk to him, but I know he would come to me and say, you know, the township gives $100,000, couple $100,000 towards roads, but that we aren't obligated to do that. And I think sometimes when we talk to certain people at the road commission, I at least had the impression that we were obligated or required, mandated to do this. And so it just surprised me when he said we are not. I think the roads wouldn't get fixed probably without us putting money into it. So I'm not against it. And again, you know, the state isn't bringing enough money for roads. The county doesn't have enough money for roads.
We would get bare minimums,
We would
what
get
we-
bare minimums. That would
Fair.
be-
So,
essential. Yeah.
so they would still be obligated to repair our local roads, because I know they have different designations,
Right.
even if we didn't give.
Bare essential minimums. I mean,
some, they-
literally.
They would be in very poor.
Right.
condition. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and that's my understanding. And this is kind of speculate, you know, I wish Mr. Posgay were here. We could ask
Right.
him, but
You may not
Um,
say that on the record, though.
he might not. Well, you know, Mr. Posgay,
He's
he was always out there. He was
Yeah,
pretty,
yes, yes, yes.
he might.
He's
Um,
Awesome human.
I'm
He was-
trying to
he was
bring
one of
up-
the guys.
So my thoughts, excuse me, that I've had about this is a ton of money that we had not planned on spending. I mean, it's gonna come out of our ARPA fund that we haven't even figured out what we're gonna do with that money. I mean, how long do we have?
till the end of the year to
Till the
earmark,
End of
to
20.
earmark the money, right? It has
Earmark.
to be spent by
Earmark.
2026.
We don't have to spend it, we just have to earmark
Right,
it.
it has to be spent by 2026.
But I don't
Earmarked
think
by
this doesn't have to
2024.
Come out of ARPA funds, though. I mean, I'm
Have to.
I'm thinking.
Right.
We have the settlement money, and if there's anything that we've been sitting on this money for a long time.
Waiting
Ro-
for a good project.
Well, and Rod, you just made, I mean, with your amazing investments, another $100,000 this year, which is incredible. So there's money.
Yeah, there's. money.
That's a good point. It doesn't have to be ARPA funds
No.
and there
I
are
don't wanna use
funds.
ARPA funds on.
No, we wouldn't. have
Yeah,
to.
right,
And
right.
Again, I was just, thinking, we've been sitting on this, like you said, Sandy, sitting on the settlement money.
Right.
This to me would be a good investment of some of that money.
Mm-hmm,
Well, it's not permanent. The roads are always falling apart. you
Right.
know?
right. And it would be nice to get these culverts fixed. I wonder, I should have asked them, how long can we expect the fix to last?
Right.
Has this not been fixed for 50 years? That would be huge.
Well, this says replace. This is not.
Well, either way, when it was
Yeah.
installed, when it was like,
Right.
just what the history of it. Have you touched it in 25 years?
Right, how
But
long?
we
has this-
expect this to
Yeah,
last
sure.
for, that's an investment.
sure.
Why can't I? All right, I wanted to look real quick at his email because he did prioritize
Yeah,
these
and I
for
didn't see
us.
that in the packet.
I didn't either.
Right. Because I do
I'm
remember
having
reading it.
trouble. I know, yeah.
I wouldn't. I
Although.
thought Bush was the most, well, you can look on it though, and
You can search your email for
one,
Huey.
one
I
was
can't
serious and
connect,
one was
to the
poor, and I'm
email
guessing
here.
the serious was the.
Which one should I connect to?
You want to connect to Sylvan Township
Hmm.
because we have
But I
we have
don't
we have a
know.
router right back here.
Okay,
And you just put in the.
I hope
Yeah.
it remembers the,
see
all
what-
right. All right.
Connect.
Oh, there it goes. Okay, cool.
Oh, two of them.
Okay, the following order, Bush,
Right.
Sibley, Ivy.
Okay. Shibley Ivy.
Bush, Sibley. Ivy.
That's why Cindy was saying, I don't know why this has to be replaced.
Cindy said that?
On Free Sylvan in her email. I walk there
Oh.
all the time. People go insanely fast down this road. It's not meant for heavy trucks anyways. It's not a thoroughfare.
Oh,
Except
I
when it-
haven't
except
read
when
any
it
of
fails.
that.
I'm sorry,
Except when it fails.
Yeah, except when it fails.
Well, you know, Pierce Road isn't for heavy trucks either, and they go up
Oh, I
and down
know.
there all the time,
I know they do.
all the time.
They beat the
And,
shit.
and guess who's gonna be on the hook for fixing that road when it, but
Right.
anyway,
The
that
county
bothers
is,
me.
isn't that
Well,
county road?
yeah, and that's the,
We're gonna have an issue with that one when they do it, because the last time when we paid to have it seal coated, I raised holy freaking hell with them because they took and sealed over the potholes. They didn't fix them.
So it all just sunk
Jeez.
again.
Within a week, those potholes were right back there.
Yeah.
And I raised holy heck in the Washington County Road Commission Board meeting that we went to,
Okay.
and they were blowing me off. And when we came out, the guy that ran the local yard, he goes, you know, Rod, you're 100% correct. We really blew that. Those should have been filled before we did it. I don't care what they said.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's just seems like.
That was really, yeah, that was a crap move.
So they've never been fixed
No.
since then?
No.
So it was seal coated, but the potholes were never actually packed?
If you go down Pierce Road, if you go down after it rains,
Yeah.
you see all the water right there in that one spot, and then all them potholes, they were
Yeah.
never filled.
Oh.
And that remains the worst spot in Pierce Road.
I've never seen a map. Do we have a map of where all of our culverts are? Has Washtenaw County provided that for us?
no, and it's funny because I'm not sure that exists. Because Mr. Fuller, when he was on, you know, rest in peace, when he was on the road commission, he asked me one time at the library as a road commission thing, he said, how many culverts do you have in Sylvan Township? And where are they? And I said, I have no idea. Is there somewhere I can look it up? And he said, no. And he was trying to put this information together to look it up. Cause some of these culverts are, I mean, been there for a really long time,
Some of them are
a
concrete.
really long time. Yeah.
There's one on Jerusalem Road that was made out of concrete blocks. It was so old.
Oh,
So maybe these are just the ones that are under the road commission purview right now. But I don't know how many there are.
wouldn't every county road be under their purview though?
Yeah, yeah, you mean, you would
Absolutely.
think so.
Yeah, not private roads,
so-
but county roads.
County
County
roads, not
roads,
private roads,
right,
yeah.
right.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I'm sure, yeah, if Pierce Road, something happened. they would-
So the repavement of Pierce is the responsibility of the county because it's a county road.
Yeah, but I would bet they'll come and ask us to put pitch in. They would come and they'd do their presentation about buckets again and I, you
Yeah.
know, but anyway. All right, but I want to look at the culverts. So it's his email here when he prioritizes them says Bush Road, which has a 3 rating. I don't know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Currently has plates in the road to prevent a weight restriction.
So-
Future inspections may determine that the plates are not enough to support the road. Sibley has a 4 rating. It currently has a weight restriction. And he also says there are plans to resurface Bush and Sibley. So it would be ideal to get these replaced prior to that work.
Right. Well,
So those are the top 2 he prioritized, Bush and Sibley.
The most expensive ones, of course.
The most expensive ones. And they're pretty expensive.
Yeah,
That's
they
more
are.
than I remember the other one being. But maybe they're different.
So they're doing the same thing on these that they did out here, that aluminum box culvert.
That's what
Oh,
they're replacing them with?
So it's gonna last beyond our lifetime,
So
probably,
you've seen one installed. Where did you see one installed?
right out here.
they installed that during the elections. You
Yeah.
remember that?
Oh,
And they
yeah,
were
now I
doing
remember.
that.
Okay,
Yeah,
that where we had
were
concern of the traffic not being able to.
immersed.
That thing
Merciful.
was big. It was
It
big.
was-
It was,
Yeah,
that thing looks solid as a rock.
Okay. Oh, because you're saying that, Rod, it's
Yeah.
aluminum box culvert.
Yeah. They did the same thing on Kavanaugh Lake Road when they did that. Big box, aluminum box culvert.
Okay.
So I mean, if they're gonna put those in those roads with the amount of traffic that they
a
get,
lot of traffic.
yeah.
It'll last a long, long time.
They had the
Beyond our
really
lifetime.
high traffic counts too. I think this ADT was probably like average daily
Oh,
traffic or
sure,
something.
Sure.
So, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're more traveled.
Oh, yes, Sibley and Bush is definitely well-traveled roads.
Yeah,
Ivy people use it more of a cut through getting over to Workner,
right.
because I use it for that.
Me too.
Town, you want to go north.
Yep.
Well, I would lean towards applying for all three. I mean, even if we
Mhm.
applied for all three, we could still make a decision at that point. We're not bound to it.
Right, exactly. If they would present an agreement, then we could, even if we, yeah,
We would be able to have another discussion to.
right, to
make a
agree to
final
those
decision.
agreements.
Right.
Here's a thing that says, you're like on Sibley Road, it said the year built's 1968.
Oh,
Sibley, you
missed
said,
that.
Yeah,
Sandy?
Sibley.
oh yeah, and the bridge
Oh.
report. This was for, and Bush Road says nineteen
You
sixty-eight.
can't- Will you hold that up for me, Sandy? Okay, got it.
It's toward the back of the packet.
And then look at this one. This one's for Bush Road. And it says year built nineteen sixty-eight.
Oh, got it. Thank
You
you.
know, and there's probably a similar report for Sibley
What's that?
that says. Yeah, 1968. Well, yeah, that should outlast our terms then.
Yeah. It should all last our lifetime.
Hmm.
I mean, 60 and this is 24.
Yeah, I know.
64 years.
55 years. I was born in 70 and I'm 53. Anyway, so it's 68, it's 55
Where did
years.
I just see this?
that they've-
It's too many pieces of paper. I can't.
I
keep up with what I'm
know.
Reading.
Well, and we
Okay,
should,
so
60. I thought it said
Um,
60.
Bush Road, what is rated 3 and 3 and 4 are poor, and that's the lowest.
Mhm.
Description of how good the road is. 7 and 8 is good, 5 and 6 is fair. Oh, 2 or less, I'm sorry, is critical. So they're 3 and 4, so
Oh,
they're not the worst, but they're close.
yeah,
There. Yeah, they're
probably going in the wrong direction
right.
towards the two.
It's called From Neglect.
Yeah.
So if Bush and Sibley were for 1968, do we know what the other one is?
The other, one,
Yeah,
Ivy
they
had a
do.
different kind of report
Okay.
than we did, but it might say on there, it's a culvert safety inspection.
Uh,
Well, the
It
one on
looks-
Ivy, it looks like it's not as, they're not replacing it. There's a repair, correct, if I'm reading it? It doesn't say it's being
Okay.
replaced with that aluminum box culvert.
Mm, That's probably why it's so much less
Yeah,
than the others.
pipe arch construction. I'm not sure what that is. Probably a half pipe or something, or maybe a full pipe. That part of it is in the ground
No, that's the others.
instead of the big box. The big box, I'm sure, is probably for higher traffic flows.
When we put the papers together, I told Susan to put the little packets for the roads in alphabetical order, so Bush paperwork should be first, Ivy next, and then Sibley. And I know it's a lot of paper.
I only see Bush and Sibley.
Yeah,
I don't see Ivy at all.
yeah, I don't.
This should be Ivy. Should have this here, the road
Yeah.
name is at the top, and then it has this kind of report. It
It's
looks
a
like.
different-
it's
Oh, maybe
culvert
that's why I
inspection
missed that.
report.
Okay,
Yeah, it looks different,
okay.
and maybe it's because it's not getting the same expensive. And this report is not as informational as the other. one.
They do have it broken down by
Let's say.
how much each cost is.
I said, right, right. Yep, so each project should
Base.
have a report and a map, and then, the project cost report map.
Well, I guess I'd make a motion to apply for all three culverts.
Mhm.
See. And then, see what we get financing for the ARPA funds for. And then we make a decision.
I'll support that.
All right. All right, motion from Rod, supported by Amanda. Any discussion? Any discussions?
So what, depending then upon what we get funding for and what we decide that we're gonna do, then we're gonna talk about what money we're gonna use of our own.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. I think that sounds good, because then we should know from then. They're gonna give us this much, even though they've laid it out here, the numbers should be real plain,
Mhm.
and I think that's a great time for us to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where the funds will come from.
I don't
Point
wanna
of
use
focus.
settlement money for that if we can scratch it out of something else.
Yeah.
Great. Well, like I said, Rod just made us $100,000.
I was gonna say,
Wow, he already made us half.
Right, exactly.
there.
That's how we make our money work for us, right?
Exactly.
All right, so motion to apply for all three culverts. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed, say nay. Nothing. We have one more item on our agenda today because I made a boo-boo. And I told you guys that something was taken care of that was not. The Cook and White inspection for the, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yes, boiler inspection needs to be on. I told you guys that Susan told me it had already been taken care of. She said the elevator inspection had already been taken care of. This needs to be a decision to them by the 18th. I
Okay.
said, oh my gosh, put it on today's agenda. So boiler inspection needs to be done every 3 years. This is something you need to have a certain technician for, has to have certain
Yeah.
certifications. Cook and White did this for us last time. I think,
Do we have a cost? Because this
Well,
looks
that-
like an old, this looks like it's from 2020 and I'm
I
not.
know.
Well, I see a total circled, but then I see receptionist stated it would be about $500 this time. So I don't know if Susan meant this time is in
Yeah,
days or the upcoming inspection.
yes, that note is from recently, like a
Oh.
couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Well, they did a lot of other things.
Yeah.
If you look on here, what
Yeah.
they performed,
Okay.
they did a lot of replace and installs. of-
Yes.
And that's why under explanation of agenda items, she says, there will be a cost, however, they won't be sure of the invoice amount until the work is performed.
Fine.
So it's probably.
I don't know until they get here.
They won't
Fine.
know.
So do we need to
Right.
approve up to it?
I think so.
Okay,
Um,
do you think?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve not to exceed $1,000.
Okay.
For the Cook and White boiler
Oof,
inspection.
they got us 1,800 last time they were here.
They did a whole bunch of stuff. They're
Yeah,
not
but what
gonna
if
have
they
to
get
do
down-
that stuff again.
But what if they have other stuff they need to do?
Well, then they need to do it.
But what if it exceeds $1,000? They
And we'll have to
can't.
come
About
back and say,
1,500 then.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Well,
I
if
don't
they
know.
were 1,800 last time, maybe we should.
I say
Not
two.
to exceed 2,000.
$1,000, so you're.
I feel
amending it?
good with
Okay.
that.
there we go.
All right.
All right,
good.
I
I'm
will
okay with
support that.
okay. All right, so motion from Rod, support from Amanda. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Yeah, I was just thinking if they did all this the last time, it wouldn't need it this time, but we're 3.5 years out from that.
I mean, there's
Maybe
always
there will be
something.
And that's. the thing.
All
I
We
don't
don't
want
want
to have to come back
boilers.
and
We
make
don't want to
another
have to
decision.
know. Exactly. We want that inspection
Perfect.
done. So, all right, board of member, trustee member comment? Here. All right,
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn at
Aye.
9:24
9:24. Okay.
o'clock. Motion from Rod, I'll support.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Cool.
Mm.
Sandy, I keep
You
thinking
know?
about this weather coming up and how this place could be
When is it going to hit?
a
Today.
sanctuary,
Around 12 or 1.
12 or 1 or something like
We
that.
still got time to run around and do stuff.
I thought it was too, and the kids are in school and